Because, Chris, what else can we add and attribute to the heat?
You'll have to talk to my PR agent. I am not at liberty to say right now. No, I'm just kidding, of course. Well, today, actually, we're more in the lower 90s.
Ooh, relief.
Yeah, admittedly, yesterday exceeded expectations because we didn't really get the cloud cover too much. We had a nice little spot that it didn't form. So we actually got to 98 degrees yesterday. So that's the fourth time we've done that. And we actually had a heat index of 103. So we're calling for a heat index of 101, hit 103, and it exceeded all the way up to 98. So I have us at 92, but again, if you have a nice mix of cloud and sunshine, and you guys show pretty cameras, can we show a pretty camera? What do we got? What do we have?
That one, or you want traffic?
We got traffic.
Okay.
That's pretty.
I can get you a prettier camera.
Yeah, do you have any skies?
I can get you a sky. Give me 2
How about
seconds.
blue skies?
Let's do
Blue
good old
skies.
Lake Norman, shall we?
Let's see. See, there it is. So
Sky.
this is actually a great example. Carly, thank you so much for the assist. We are going to see a mix of cloud and sunshine, but I think you're going to see a chance for developing showers and storms because the biggest threat today is not severe weather. It's thunderstorms in general. Of course, lightning comes across that, but the slow movement of some of these storms. So I was jumping around the country with my little estimator tool to show how much rain there was. Might have seen it. I'm not sure if you're going to show it here on the Impact Show. Is that New Jersey was underwater, parts of New York were underwater. Of course, we know about Texas, Philly. So bring that up. You have Philly, New York, Boston, Chicago. Just naming, all those
metropolitan areas.
All those have seen 3 to 7 inches of rain, just depending on their environment. Boston was kind of the least compared to what I've seen, but I also saw a measurement that west of Lakeland, east of Tampa, a measurement of up to 10 inches of rain fell.
Wow.
Other parts southwest of Kerr County have received 10 inches of rain in the last couple of days. And then we had Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's all over the place that we're seeing these isolated areas, and I haven't heard really a report, but there's Petersburg, Virginia, south of Richmond. They were under a flash flood emergency earlier today. And a flash flood emergency, as we know, and we've learned here, is the worst of the 3 tiers of the flash flood warning system. It goes base, considerable, and then it goes up to emergency status where cars were underwater, and that was just a basic line of thunderstorms. And even in the near term right now, you're looking at 2 boxes that represent the flash flood warnings that are now southwest of Raleigh. This has been a slow-moving system here. I can bring up the estimated rainfall tool that's been associated with this.
While you do that, I have video from Lancaster.
All right, let's do it.
See.
Let's see it.
Here.
Yeah, see? Water overtaking
Right
it,
over
those
the road.
streams swollen. Yeah, a lot of those back roads. We see this type of flooding all the time, but I think what's been really staggering is you're seeing this all over the country. And truly, this is more of a spring type of deal. How much rain that we usually see, because you usually have the snow melt that can add to a lot of things as well. This is staggering. How many states that we have talked about epic flash flooding, and there's 2 factors here. It is slow movement from these systems. We have the stationary front that's pretty much draped itself from Texas all the way up through New York, and then you also have a tremendous amount of moisture. I was looking at the I brought up this term before, and sorry to go too meteorological on you. It's called precipitable water, or P-watts, which is fun to say. P-watts.
P-watts in the house.
Yeah. So P-watts essentially is like, say if you take the entire atmosphere and you squish it down, that would be how much rain that one point would get. And the problem with it is the highest it goes is about 3+ inches. You always see more than that, but that's like a given point. So if you have multiple points of the storm that have that, you can get up to those 3 to 9 over a couple hour time frame. Well, I looked at the average P-watts per region, and for July, the areas up in New England, New York, New Jersey, they're seeing that level at the 99th percentile for this time of year. So they're seeing way more moisture than they usually do. That's why we're seeing so many storms. And we don't have a lot of movement to the atmosphere. You don't have those quick moving fronts. That's why we're seeing this so badly right now. It's epic. It's awful.
I got Philly too here.
Okay, let's see Philly.
That's Philly.
Let's go through this. All right.
That's the
I actually haven't.
Philadelphia area.
Okay.
Okay, Philadelphia.
Obviously, it's not
Same, the
downtown
smaller
Philly,
roads,
but yes.
That look like streams now.
Yeah, and it's also a testament. Turn around, don't drown. Over 50% of flood deaths are people trying to challenge those waters. But yeah, it's a massive inconvenience. So look at that car. That car probably tried to challenge the water as well. And that's the thing with flooding. As quick as it can come up, is as quick as it can go down. And we saw that it can lead to the worst case scenario, loss of life, but also loss of property. So if you're again alerted on your phone that you have considerable flash flood warning, just letting you know the life-threatening flash flooding is around you. If it reaches emergency status, it is get to higher ground as soon as you can. It is imminent life or death type of situation, and we've seen that a few type of situations as well. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean for sure you got to leave your house. You got to just know where you live as well. If you live in a floodplain, you should already have kind of an evacuation point, kind of know the different status that we see here. But yeah, but this is just a tremendous amount of rain. Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, up to New York, and they're going to see that in the next couple of days. So back to the estimated rainfall, and we can actually jump over to these areas. This is what we've seen. This is just general estimation west of Raleigh this morning, up to 7 inches.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we have the flash flood warnings there. Now, this is radar estimated, so note it could be far less than this. But whenever you're seeing these little bullet points, and here I'll actually go around the country and show you what I was talking about. This was the most recent flooding. When you get to this color, that's bad. So this is why you had the flash flood emergency. That's usually a representation there. So that right there estimated about 9.6 inches of rain this morning. Let's go back up to Pennsylvania. So notice how they're just bullseyes. You can literally say where the video was, because Trey, one of our producers, was I said, hey, is that video in Lancaster? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, because easy, you see another one of these little dots. And that's the crazy thing. These thunderstorms are popping up and they're just sitting, and they're at a maximum moisture values for the atmosphere this time of year. That's over 6 inches of rain. You can't do that without there being repercussions. So that's why it's been so bad in here. I actually will do one last thing. Let's go over to Texas. I know it looks like a melted box of crayons. There's the Carolinas here. And you can even see from afar the one I was going to focus in on, Texas. This is exactly what it looked like right around Kerr County. Now, the thing with that is it's forks of rivers. It's a perfect setup. So that's why they flooded so badly and it was so historic. It also depends on topography. So it's kind of a mix of geology and meteorology that kind of lead to the worst flooding conditions. But, yeah, look at some of these values. 8 inches, 6.8 inches, close to 9 inches that fell. And I think this one's a little bit more. Yeah, so it looks like 7 to 9 there. That's all over the country. So for us in the near term, I just want everyone to know we do have a low to a moderate threat for flash flooding. And you could see that does go all the way up into Virginia. That's already verified. Where we've had some of those flash flood warnings, it's kind of right along the green line. But I think it's going to be areas to the northwest of us that have the best chance a little bit later on today. It's really been interesting. I watched this morning those lines of storms. Oh, okay, this one's dying out. Oh, wow, this is continuing to go. That's just all because of the current setup that we have. And here, let me bring that up. So this is our surface map, and it's just this little trough. So since that trough is off towards the west, that's going to help promote some lift for us a little bit later on in the day. But truly, the reason why you're seeing this is because of a couple of wind directions. You had some convergence that's happening here. And then if you actually see this subtly push, sometimes when you drive in moisture with the cooler air, that's the perfect thing to fuel storms. That's kind of what happened in Helene. So when it sets up perfectly and you have things pushing against it and the atmosphere is not moving really fast, that is the perfect recipe and the setup to provide slow-moving storms that are constantly being fed that will dump some heavier rain rates. As for us right now, we don't really have a lot of activity going on. I am starting to see a little expansion happening right now here in Stanley County. I think this could continue to connect for the rest of the afternoon, so let's get right to our future cast. I'm seeing really now until the early afternoon, you're going to have a chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms. We haven't really seen a lot here, but I think that you see really the best chance for Charlotte really early to mid-afternoon. Let's call it about noon to 5. You could still see some more after that, but I think the main jazz is all this type of stuff over here. Watch what happens as we work our way into the late afternoon and evening. You see those two storms kind of cross-section kind of come together, and then eventually they're going to start to work their way back to the Charlotte area. So it's, again, I think northwest of us to the Charlotte region I-77 corridor that sees the most. Then by tomorrow, we're mainly looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorms up in the mountains, and that's going to pretty much put end to that chapter. And then beyond that, we're going to see our temperatures on the rise, 95 to 97, mid to the upper 90s through this coming weekend. But there's a wild card, y'all.
Oh?
A wild card.
How
Joker?
Could be Joker. Joker's wild, however you want to put it. And that potentially could be named Dexter. If you watch the show, I hope it's nothing close to that. So the National Hurricane Center now has a 40% chance for development for this beast. It has a name that's rolls off the tongue, Tropical Wave Invest 93-L.
Oh, catchy.
Yeah, so I thought so too. I think you should just keep that. Imagine all the news anchors having to say that every time.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, if I were to put my weather money on it, this is going to become Tropical Storm Dexter. I would be very surprised if it doesn't, because there's too many things that are working for it. Now, this is expected to happen over the next couple of days. First step, this low that is just off the Florida coast, the Atlantic coast, is going to push west across Florida, giving a good amount of rain. There's some flood issues there. Once it gets into the Gulf, the water temperatures, everything is perfectly prime. Since it's an investigation, has the invest, we now have what's called spaghetti plots. Why are they called spaghetti plots? I think you can guess why.
Look at it.
So everything comes together, having it pushed pretty much into the Big Bend area of Florida, and then it'll cruise its way off towards the west. This is also a unique pattern. You don't always see this, but it does happen. Wilma did this and then regenerates over in the Gulf. Luckily, it's a little bit shallower. These are very warm temperatures, so I would not be surprised if we actually have some rapid intensification. It's not as bad as if it was later on in the season, but it still, I think, has a solid chance to develop, I think, through the day on Wednesday, and then it starts to turn. So right now, we are looking at a chance that this is going to impact Louisiana, glide up the Mississippi River, and then kind of fizzle out there. Other indications say that, hey, it could maybe try to come back in the Gulf. I think pretty much it's just going to die out. The direct impact, or we call it indirect impact, that we have here in the Carolinas, it's going to make us more humid. It's also going to drive in more storm fuel. But for day 4 of our excessive rain impact outlook, we already have a high risk in southern Louisiana for this thing to take hold. That could be upgrade to extreme, so it doesn't matter if it's going to be named or not. Truly, I think it's better if it gets a name. Yes, it has stronger winds, but people pay more attention to it. Because think about it. It might not have helped. But say if we knew a tropical storm was making landfall and it provided the rain that happened in Kerr County for Texas, people would have been on guard because of the name and saying, oh, okay, this is a tropical storm here. Maybe they would have moved people or not had them near the river. When it's the dead of night and those sneaky thunderstorms that dump a lot of rain, those are more deadly than a system like this that you might know that's coming. But regardless if it has a name or not, but I think solid chances, Tropical Storm Dexter, it looks like Thursday into Friday is going to be the time frame. So here's a better look at the surface map. Really starts to organize through the day on Wednesday. This is Wednesday at noon. Once it gets a closed center, it has winds at 39 miles per hour, and it's a warm core storm. Then we're officially calling it Tropical Storm Dexter. I think that happens at some point tomorrow. Could become tropical depression first. That could happen actually as early as the overnight tonight. But then watch, it starts to curve in. This is where it really becomes organized. This is also why you can't trust one given model, because this thing looks mean as it makes landfall. I'm not saying it's going to look like that, but if that's the case, you're talking about maybe our first hurricane of the season. And the wind models actually support that. This is the same model. Look what happens. You have nothing. You have that little blob that's showing wind gusts. Sustained winds are what categorize a hurricane or a tropical storm, but wind gusts can sometimes be 30 to 40 miles per hour or more. This says 50 mile per hour gusts by noon tomorrow, and then you're looking at solid hurricane gusts by Thursday. Yeah, and look at that.
Big
That's
swirly.
something.
That's a big swirly.
That's why you can only take, this is an outlier chance, because meanwhile you have the European model that has this big blob. It's kind of disorganized, then once it makes landfall, kind of slides in. That little yellow-orange mark means sustained winds at around 40 to 50. That would still be a tropical storm, but not a hurricane. So that's why I wanted to just say, I'm not being reckless, just throwing a model out there. But if I were to say the best to worst scenario, the best case is that it doesn't form at all. But but I don't think it's going to be the case. But I think it's going to be either a low-end tropical storm, but truly splitting the difference, looks like it could be our strongest tropical storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. And there is a chance that this quickly becomes our first hurricane of the season, impacting the southern part of Louisiana. But a lot can still change. But what can weaken this storm? There's three main things. It's wind shear, land, and dry air. The sad thing is, there's only one that's going to do it. It needs to make landfall. If it makes landfall earlier, that's good news, because the longer it sits out in the Gulf, the stronger and the faster it's going to intensify. So bringing up our spaghetti plots, what you're looking at here is wind shear. Wind shear cuts into the storm. You want the red. So where's the red? Okay, the red's over Florida. The red's in the western side of the Gulf. We got all green. So we are, by tomorrow morning, the best conditions you can have wind shear wise for the system to develop. We're still in the green by midnight tomorrow night, and before it makes landfall, it moves over to just a neutral zone, which doesn't really help it. So wind shear is not going to stop it. And as for the dust layer, no, there's no dust around this system. So what I'm saying is number 4 looks like it is coming. Our indirect impacts is going to be a chance for more moisture, but this is going to be another major story. We already seen the flooding without a tropical storm. Right. We saw a tropical depression, technically. Even though Chantal was a tropical storm, we saw the inland flooding that thing did. With the way that the atmosphere is right now, we're looking at a massive flood event from this, regardless of the name and the status of it. So just wanted to kind of give you the first briefing of that before we roll forward.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen this now the last couple of weeks, that it doesn't have to be named. It doesn't have to be anything. It could just be this summer event of rain, and then those Gulf waters so warm.
So warm, yeah. Some of them were
that.
record breaking earlier on the season. I truthfully I haven't really checked them in recent days. We have a neutral Enzo cycle, so yeah, I think this is just the beginning, because we typically have our first D name mid-August. So this would, yeah. So we're about a month ahead of schedule. That's not like 2020 where we had the most active season on record, but it's still up there. Yeah, so and especially if this quickly becomes a hurricane, for the worst case scenario here, it really just shows where we're headed for August and September. And I think that just the way things have been and recently, you've really got to watch this hurricane season.
Yeah, yikes. And we've had those pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoon. It's like, or even early evening too.
Early evening. We had a thunderstorm this morning in Huntersville.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that there's no hours that can escape this. And getting back to our forecast today, really now for the rest of the day, you have a chance for rain. As a meteorologist, I dislike this strongly, because I like to say this window to this window, this county to this area. No, I just have to pretty much do a typical weather game saying, oh, it's going to be hot and humid with the chance of storms. Good luck. So,
good luck, friends.
Good luck.
All right. Chris Mulcahy giving us all the information we need to know. We have so
Maybe
many
too much.
friends and people in the Northeast that are suffering, of course, following all of the flooding situations in Kerrville. They're
We have a lot
not
of people in Florida too.
not
that
getting
we're-
a break. Florida,
we're gonna have to look out for.
vacationing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And then and now maybe Dexter this
Yeah.
weekend.
and we'll see. Yeah, I was hoping Dexter. I know that there's that one show where Dexter
Yes.
did things that were questionable nature. But yeah, looks like another one. I was looking at the list, going through it. I just hope we don't reach Wendy, because I don't want Wendy to be mean.
No.
Yeah. But Karen, watch out for Karen. We'll see.
Karen's gonna be.
Just gonna pack a punch.
Yeah. We'll work on one letter at a time.
One letter. We'll get to D first.
All right, Chris Mulcahy, thank you very much.